The Selfish Podcast acknowledges the traditional owners of the land and waters that this podcast is recorded on.
Everything that we discuss on the Selfish Podcast with Chloe and Steph is for informational purposes only. It's either our own experiences, opinions and insights or our guests. It's not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice and should not be relied upon as health or personal advice. It's time to prioritise yourself and your wellbeing. Subscribe now and get ready to put yourself first with the Selfish Podcast.
Hey, beautiful people. Welcome back to our next episode of the Selfish Podcast with Chloe and Steph. So exciting to be here. We've got a bit of a different episode coming up for everyone.
We do. We have got an amazing guest who we will hear from shortly, Ms. Candice Hooper.
Tell me, Steph, how has your start to September been?
Oh, it has been, you know what, almost better than I thought it would be.
Wow.
It has just been tick, 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 gold stars all round.
That is amazing.
Yeah. It's been great.
Tell me why. Why has it been good?
Well, the sun has been shining. The air has been warm, which I love. Well, for some days.
Yes.
For some days.
Bit chilly in the morning.
But I feel like a lot of the work that I've been putting in, a lot of work that Hugh's been putting in, we've had a lot of stuff to move through together and as a couple. And I feel like we're moving, like I can see the progress, whereas I feel like the last few months it's just been doing so much. And you just are like, am I even getting anywhere?
You're kind of like the duck with the legs going under the water and then
really slowly climbing this hill. And some days you go backwards, some days you go up. But when you sort of take a few steps back, you're like, oh, we're almost at the summit. Like we're getting there. So, yeah, it has definitely lived up to expectations.
Yay!
Yes. September. Spring. What about you? How's your start to September been?
Actually, I've really loved the sunshine. I think that's been, I think everyone is in such a good mood when the sun's out.
Yeah.
On the weekend, we were down the beach for most of it. And even just with the kids, you can they're just not cracking it as easily.
Well, and the sicknesses, I feel like the sicknesses are sort of parting. It's not as
still hanging around a bit though, isn't it? But I don't know. Yeah, there's light.
There's
at
light.
The end of the
I see
winter
that.
tunnel. Yeah,
absolutely. And do you know what happened to me the other day?
Tell me.
Well, it didn't just happen to me the other day. It happened to me over 3 days. So I was minding my own business, making some pancakes for Freddie one Saturday morning. Double yolker.
I've never had a double yolker.
I hadn't had either many double yolkers.
Okay.
Next day, making a cake, which I seldom do, but I really felt like making a cake, and a friend just renovated her house, so I dropped it over to her and cracked the egg, double yolker. I was like, 1 double yolker seems rare. 2 double yolkers is a pattern.
Do you take out an extra yolk just as a question?
No, just put it in there.
For the cake mix?
No, just kept it in there.
Okay.
Just means that it's a little bit, creamier, because the yolks are quite creamy, aren't they? So, 2 double yolkers. So I'm like, this is interesting. What is the meaning
Google that.
of a double yolker? Yep. And is it rare? Is it good luck? Is it this? Is it that? Keeping in mind, just got my period back as well.
Yes.
Double yolker means that it's good luck. It's an imminent new beginning, or that you or your female counterpart is going to be pregnant with twins.
Oh. Dong dong.
In Norse mythology, someone's going to die. So we won't.
We won't talk about that.
Everyone's going to die eventually, aren't they? But we won't worry about the. I only just saw that one then. But so fertility. So I'm like, oh goodness, all right. Don't think I'm pregnant.
Better be good, gal.
Yeah, but you know what? After Arthur died, when we were in the hospital, I had a dream that we had twins, a boy and a girl. So in the back of my mind, I'm always, and Hugh's a twin, and I don't know, in the back of my mind, I'm always like, are the twins coming? So then on the weekend, Father's Day, Hughie's cooking us breakfast. Well, I made half of it, and then he does the poached eggs because he's very, very good at making poached eggs. And we have 2 eggs each. Crack the first egg, double yolker. Crack the second egg, double yolker. Crack the third egg, double yolker. Crack the fourth egg,
stop it,
double yolker. Yeah, so we had 6 double yolkers in the last week. 6 double yolkers. So at this stage, I'm like, I'm going to go get me a pregnancy test. So 6 in total. So I had one when I did the pancakes.
Oh, 6 eggs. Yeah.
One when I
right,
did
right,
the
right.
one
Yep,
when I
gotcha.
did the cake.
Yep.
Then 4.
Yes. On
when we
Sunday.
were doing the poached eggs. Yeah. So 6
Wow.
double yolks. So that's 12
I've got
yolks.
a question though. Is it this time of year potentially that chickens are more likely to lay eggs with double yolkers because it's springtime?
So
Did you?
I don't believe that is the case. It will maybe. If there's anyone out there who's got chickens, can you let us know? But I did call my dad because he's got chickens.
Yes.
And I remember when we were kids, if there was ever a double yolker, it was like cause for celebration. It was like, oh my goodness, there's a double yolker. And so I told him, and he said, yeah, that's very rare to even get one double yolker.
Yeah, well, as I said,
Let
I've never
alone
had one.
6. Oh,
6. That is actually
6.
like really, really crazy.
yeah. So if anyone's got any tips out there about, what's going to happen,
Wow.
yeah, wow. All I can say is, I don't know. And then I looked at the packet and it is like extra large eggs. So maybe it's just a weight thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it's just a weight thing.
No, I feel like there's like some sort of synchronicity
Well, then it's
or
like,
meaning here.
Yeah, or it's the number
Yeah.
2 again. Maybe it's like 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. 6 twos
Maybe.
in a row. Maybe that
Yeah, it's just another
repetition.
sign.
So there you go.
Love it.
I'm scared to have another egg. We've still got 4 eggs left
Just
in that
Do your
in that
due
carton,
diligence
and
when
I'm worried.
you are getting it on. This is what I would suggest. Well, whatever you want to do though. You might be. Yeah.
Well,
Exciting
yeah.
times ahead.
Anyway, there we go. Check your eggs, everyone.
I love that. All right, well, let's dive into a little bit of the cosmos.
Yeah, before we do, I've just got one thing I wanted to show you.
Oh, you've got something else. Sorry. Sorry to cut you off.
So I just got one thing I want to show you. So you know how last week on the pod I was talking about how I lost my keys? Well, I was.
Oh, yes, I do remember that. And you were annoyed because you wanted to go for a walk.
Yeah, I was very frustrated. So again this week, got myself all organised, got Freddie organised, got Fritz organised, went to go for a drive and then go for a walk and couldn't find my keys again. Again, like just I don't know why. I'm double yolkers and losing my keys are the themes for September. And I was so frustrated. So I finally found my keys 4 days later. I actually found them this morning.
What?
And I decided that I would put them on this special little key ring. Just wanted to get your thoughts.
It's hideous. Okay. That is do you really like that?
I hate it, but I'm not going to lose my keys now.
No, you're definitely not. I don't know. I think I'm going to buy you. That is so rank. That's like, okay, everyone out there who has kids, I'm sure you've seen Squishy Mellows, and it's like a mini Squishy Mellow, but like an ugly version, one with googly eyes and this like hideous rainbow.
Hey, come on. It's like a leopard print rainbow.
Leopard print rainbow.
Anyway,
Gross.
it is terrible.
Gross.
But guess what? I'm not going to lose my keys. And that's the thing.
It's kind of cute.
It's not really, but it's. I'm hoping this will help me in my.
Can't you just get like, isn't there a buzzer kind of thing that you can get these days on your keys? Something?
Yeah, Hugh was going to get me one of them, like a little air tag or something that you can put to your keys. But it's just, it's the most, like I don't actually think there's something more frustrating in life.
Oh, yeah, no, it's very annoying.
When you just are ready to go. Because that's the thing, our car, you don't have to put the key in the car. You just have to.
Yeah, press the button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't really think about my keys too often.
No, I don't either. Yeah.
So anyway, that's my hot tip.
Okay,
Get a
love it,
disgusting
guys.
key ring that is so
Take
big.
a photo of that so you can see it. All right, you ready for me to jump in?
I'm ready. I've got
we've got a time frame here.
There's nothing else hiding in my pockets that I've got to show you.
All right, so just quickly, so Venus stationed direct on Monday, so retrograde is over for that.
So sorry, just so what does that mean, station direct? So it's back
It's
where
just like now moving forwards.
Gotcha.
And not when it's retrograde, it sounds like it's going backwards, but it's not. It's just stationed.
So station direct.
Stationed.
Yep.
Yeah. Now it's moving forwards.
Okay, great.
And so it's kind of this like opportunity to reflect on self-worth, money, relationships. Things will likely drop in a bit more now from what we've been going through during the retrograde.
Okay.
So it's all about love, money, relationships, pleasure, self-worth. So it's kind of nice just to take stock of what maybe has dropped in whilst that period, I think it was nearly 3 months. So, yeah, I think it was back in July that it went retrograde, and yeah, so kind of just taking stock of what kind of dropped in over that time. Did you have any downloads about love, relationships, money, self-worth? And now's the time to kind of, ponder it.
Okay.
Think about it, and now, like, there will be change.
Yeah.
There can be change.
And Chloe, can I just ask a question? Because I think both of us have mentioned this sort of phrase a few times. But when you say drop in, like, what do you mean by that? Like, just something that you've become aware of, something that you're more conscious of?
I feel like it kind of becomes conscious.
Yeah, okay.
I feel like when something drops in for me, it's kind of like maybe it was in my subconscious and now it's like smacking me in the face and I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that?
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's like, oh yeah. Like I've become conscious of whatever
it was.
Whatever it was. Yeah.
And it's interesting to ponder that though, isn't it? Because were you always conscious of it, but it was just in the background, or is now? Yeah.
Well, there's so many players in our lives. And sometimes I think, I'm now giving them a bit more centre stage. So if I look at my mind as a theatre, and you've got the stage, you've got the light technicians, you've got the sound technicians, then you've got the audience.
Oh, yeah.
And all of these thoughts can be sitting in the audience.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they'll pop on the stage and you'll be like, no, thank you, go back to the audience. I picked them up. But then I think that's how I sort of see my brain and consciousness is it's now I'm giving it more attention. It's maybe I'm able to acknowledge it now.
Yeah.
Whereas I may not have been able to before. They might have just been sitting in the
is ready for it.
Yeah, exactly. They might have been sort of to the side of the stage, like waiting to enter.
I love that.
Yeah. That's how I sort of picture it. Great. Anyway, sorry.
Great
please.
explanation. Love it. Love it. What else? We've just come off the full moon as well, which was big time.
Oh, big.
Big emotions in Pisces. Pisces. So I'm sure everyone's probably feeling a bit more bright and kind of a bit more balanced, which is good. And then what else has happened? Jupiter has stationed retrograde. Now, Jupiter is like a larger planet, so I think we spoke about that. It doesn't have so much like impact on an individual level, but Jupiter's themes are around luck, optimism and expansion. So over this time, whilst it's retrograde, those themes may come up for us. So it's asking ourselves, how can we create a life that is joyful and meaningful?
Beautiful. And we do have the September bonus astrology episode out.
Yes.
So if you sort of want to work out what's happening for the full month in astro, please just jump on over to the bonus episodes. It's only about 6 minutes long. So
perfect.
It can give you, Chloe's sort of given us a beautiful high level picture of what we can expect.
Perfect.
All
Awesome.
right. So we in lieu of a card pull, we're going to do something a little bit different today.
We've got a beautiful book here. It's called The Little Book of Mindfulness, and it is focusing on slowing down and de-stressing. So I'm just going to open one.
Yeah, I think just open one. We'll almost use it like we do the deck.
Okay. What have we got here? Avoid stress and impatience by taking advantage of small waiting times. When the computer is slow at waking up. When the kettle seems to be taking ages to boil. When you are being kept on hold on the telephone. When waiting for the petrol pump to become free. Chance is always powerful. Let your hook be always cast in the pool where you least expect it. There will be fish.
Lovely. I think there were two ones that you read out there. Actually.
Oh, did I?
It's just one page.
Sorry. I thought that was following on. I was like,
they don't really seem related to me. What was the second one again? Let your...
Sorry, everyone.
No need to apologise.
Chance is always powerful. Let your hook be always cast in the pool where you least expect it. There will be fish. Let's just get rid of that one. That's a good one.
And I really also like the first one because it's been one of those days. The kettle is not fast enough. The computer is not quick enough. But I think I just need to embrace that and go, you know what? Just embrace that time.
It's perfect timing because we're in Mercury retrograde still, and that is just happening all the time. And we've got the computer crashing. We're waiting in traffic because everything, there's more shit happening on the road. Yeah, being kept on hold on the telephone.
There you go.
Avoid stress and impatience.
Beautiful. Well, 2 things for you guys to think about. Get your fishing rod out and enjoy those moments of
avoid stress and impatience.
Yeah. Lovely.
Lovely.
Well, let's jump into the lovely Candice. Today we have a very special guest joining us on the podcast. She is a Man-Gen 1-3 with an emotional authority. She is a wellbeing leader. She is a coach. She is a CEO. She is Candice. Candice, welcome. We're so thrilled to have you.
Thanks, guys. That's a bit of an introduction, isn't it? I was going to actually lead with Man-Gen 1-3 because I think that will explain probably this whole podcast. So you did it for me. Thanks.
Well, there you go. Well, do you want to talk a little bit about what that means to you, Candice? Because we did run through it in a podcast a few episodes ago, but my goodness, it's a lot of information to take in.
And I think, well, you're a Man-Gen 1-3, Steph.
We're the same. Yeah.
We're the same. I think it's amazing. For me, it's like, well, what are we? The number 1 is we investigate, and the number 3, we experiment. And I feel like that's literally my life to a T. I dive deep, I don't know about you, Steph, into knowledge and books and podcasts, and then I pull out what I love, and then I experiment in my own life and then in my clients' lives now. So does that resonate with you too?
Yeah, it does. It does. I love a good deep dive. And I won't do anything. Like if someone tells me something, I need to do it first.
I think you're talking about that. Yeah. Someone can say the fire's hot and you're like, shut up. Let me go test that for myself. And then you're like, oh yeah, that's hot.
That's
and it's
very
like,
hot.
I do it in whole of life. And then I think the manifesting generator, the Man-Gen, when I found that out with the help of Chloe, I just liberated myself so much. I felt up until a couple of years ago when Chloe kind of introduced me to it, I just thought that I was a loser, basically, and that I couldn't finish anything. No, but I couldn't finish anything. Do you know what I mean? I'd start things, I'd love them, and then it would fade away, and I'm like, on to the next thing. And I just thought, there's something, society tells us, finish what you start. Basically, I heard that my whole life. Finish what you start. From a kid, finish what's on your plate. Just like in all things. Hearing about what a Man-Gen is, it liberated me. It's like I no longer felt like there was something wrong with me, and it gave me permission to continue to just chase what lights me up. And I'm starting to see now, we don't need to understand where that's going. And I'm starting to see as I look back now, and I've got more life behind me now. I just turned 40. And I can see the pieces kind of coming together. And I didn't know at the time they were kind of woven. But now I'm like, oh, this is all making sense. So I think living into my Man-Gen, really understanding my 1-3, those 2 things particularly, I just have so much more peace and acceptance kind of for who I am. And instead of kind of the shoulds have disappeared, I should finish this or I should do that. And then I think learning from Chloe too, my authority, I feel like my strategy. Because before I'd start things and I'd respond straight away, but because I'm an emotional, I need to give myself time. And that has been so liberating because I don't start as many things. So then I'm not finishing as many things. But when I do start something, because I've had time to let it settle in my bones type thing, if my excitement's still there, I trust it. I go with it. So I'm finishing more things than I've ever have before. My life is filled with more aliveness than it's ever had before. So I think, human design and understanding just a few basic things has really more just liberated me. I don't know about you guys, and made me just feel acceptance of who I am and the way I work in the world.
I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah, me too. So
Thank
powerful.
you for sharing that.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking and listening.
Oh, that's what we're here to do.
Yes.
You're an amazing guest. We're here to listen to you today.
So funny. Oh my God. I love it. I love it. I'm going to love it. I'm letting myself love it.
Love it.
Good girl. So Candice, we've obviously shared little bits about who you are and what you bring to this amazing world and your uniqueness, I guess. Can you tell us a little bit more in your own words about, what is your craft?
I know you guys have asked me this a few times, and so many people ask me this, and I find this really hard to answer. And often I throw it back to like you guys, my clients and stuff. Like, I don't know, what is it that I do? And everyone comes up with different answers. I don't know. I think like understanding human design, again, I'm going to lean on that because that helped me understand myself. I have dived deep, and I've always been fascinated with wellness and with health. And so I started my journey kind of diving into that. I firstly studied to become a naturopath when I left school. And in that course, we did massage. And so I kind of found this somatic kind of tool, this bodywork tool, and then the naturopathy. But during that time, actually, I developed really bad anxiety, and I was smoking a lot of weed. I don't know if we can talk about this on here. And I was in a terrible relationship. So it was like this dichotomy. I don't know, this trilogy of just stuff happening, and it kind of blew up. And I left naturopathy, and I kind of went on this journey. Took me around the world, and I just kind of collected healing modalities for the last 20 years. And really, I think they go, like, I started kind of quite physical, right? Like body work and kind of surface stuff. And then as I worked with more and more clients, I kind of had to go deeper to get to like, what's the root cause? And then you think you're at the root cause. It's like, oh no, there's something even beyond that. And there's something even beyond that. There's kind of ever developing, ever expanding, ever deepening, evolving, all of those things, right? It's like, it's almost like, and so I've been on a journey. What have I done? I've done yoga, Ayurveda, naturopathy, massage, all different types of body work, all different types of yoga, flower essences. And then in COVID, I think that was a big turning point for me because I was so hands-on. I was so physical with all my clients. And that was I think a lot of, probably, if there's any practitioners listening, like for us, it was really scary. I know it was scary for a lot of people, but we weren't allowed to come into contact with our clients. And I was like, how am I going to keep working? My husband lost his job also during that time. And so I was like, okay, this is my time to go deeper. I need to be able to work out a way that I can work online and be able to dive deeper and still facilitate like transformation for my clients. So I studied a course online, and I was thinking about this yesterday, like my husband, like super proud of him for that moment. Like we were in this real kind of unknown stage. No money was flowing in, and he supported me to do this like $10,000 course. He saw that it was like lighting me up so much, and he saw that I could transfer this online. So I dove into that for a whole year, and I studied, it was a coaching course, but we studied like NLP,
which is for our
neuro-linguistic programming. But my coach actually, or my teacher, she developed her own kind. So we call it neural energetic encoding. And it works with the mind, like the deep subconscious mind, but also she brought in like things that I'm obsessed with, which is manifestation and creation and energetics and EFT, emotional freedom technique, like the tapping. What else was in that course? A lot of that type of stuff. And it was
hypnosis.
Hypnosis. Yes. Thanks, babe. Yeah. That was in there too. And so I could transfer what I do online, but also work on that deeper level, which is what I've always kind of been working towards, like I've experimented. And I think this is where my number 3 in human design has just been in heaven, having clients for like 20 years, because I've been able to experiment with everyone. Like even with you, Steph, for example, I'd never experienced grief, and I'd never worked with anyone with grief. And so I got to journey with you and learn about grief. You gave me such a deep insight into grief and how to talk to someone who has experienced deep loss. So I just learn so much. And so it's such a beautiful, I always say it's like a symbiotic, my work. It's so beautiful. And then like, what I've learned from Steph, I can then take that and help other people. And it helps me to just show up in the world really, like now if I meet someone, I know that I can talk to them. Whereas, we don't know what to say, especially with grief, and I learned that from you, Steph, like people don't know what to say. They don't want to upset the person in grief anymore. So they either don't say anything or they say too much or whatever. But I learned with Steph, like you want to talk about it, in the right time and talk about your loved ones. Because they did and they do still exist. Like I believe that too. So I learned so much from my clients. And so my number 3 gets really excited by that. And then I think when they come together, the 1 and the 3, I just keep learning so much from my clients. And then I go on to be able to teach that to my next clients. And so it just feels, it's been a crazy evolution, really, like this. When I look back, it seemed like it was all over the place, but it hasn't really been. It's all kind of allowed me. I've kind of, I think, been studying maybe humans, the well-being of humans. And then I bring what I've learned to each person in front of me. And my whole thing is like being in service. So not only to my paying clients, but I just want to be in service to whoever's in front of me. So you guys right now, right? And then whoever's listening, it's like just being in service. I take my knowledge and I just be in service. I don't know if that was the wildest tangent, but my life is a bit of a tangent. So there we go.
I love it. You're speaking my language, Candice.
And you're a 1-3, babe.
Exactly. I'm like, this is perfect. And I suppose, taking the collective experiences, collective learnings, collective energies from all of those people, that's really powerful stuff. Really powerful. When you were talking before as well around, how as you were going through, you didn't necessarily know how things were joining, but then they did. It reminds me of this Steve Jobs quote, which he says, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards." So you have to have trust that the dots will somehow join, and somehow connect in the future. And whether that's gut or karma or destiny or life or whatever it is, I think that's a really, I quite love that quote, because if I'm doing something that seems really quite random to my current story, well, actually, who knows what's happening in the future and where things will go.
So true.
That's beautiful.
I love that. And I think that's where I'm working now a bit more. Like a friend of mine, she said to me that, like, this was a few months ago, she's like, what you are, you're a dream doula. And I was like, I feel like a dream doula at the moment. I know, I love that word. And it's that thing of like following, like you said, following the points. For me, what are the points? The points are following your deepest heartfelt desires. And that might be just in the moment, I want to take myself outside, take my shoes off and stand on the ground and look up to the sun. Like that's a deep heartfelt desire. Or it might be as big as I want to build this company, or I want to just be a mother. Like it's the deep heartfelt desire. And I think they're the points, right? They're the points that are going to lead to the most magical of lives. It's when we follow other people's points or other people's desires or other people's wants and shoulds and all of that, that it's not going to lead to a bad life. But if you want that life that is in here, like they're the little points that, and like you said, Steph, it's like trust, have faith, take that step. And I do that with my clients now and with myself. I like nurture mainly women to follow their heart. And I call it wild success because it's like out of the box success. It's success that includes all of it, right? Like we've been told we can't have it all, but we can. And I'm telling you, I've studied humans now for so long. We can have it all. We just need to get out of the way. We need to stop telling unsupportive stories and limiting stories, and we need to just tell ourselves those supportive and limitless stories. And the more I work with people and I see their limitlessness, it just blows my mind more open, and then I can sit with someone and just hold like limitless vision for them. Again, Steph, like you, right? It's like when we started working together, the vision of holding another baby in your arms was so far, like, right? Like but it's like I could hold that. So it's like, we don't we can't always hold our own vision. It's really hard for us, especially when we're when it's dark, right? We can't see. We can't see when we can't feel joy. So it's
it was too scary. It was too scary to even put myself there. And that's what you did to me and to Huey. You really just held us and supported us through that whole process.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
And you were almost our future for us, because we didn't see a future in ourselves.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And it's the power of a vision, right? Like, you have baby Freddie now. Like, that's a powerful vision, and that's a powerful creation, right? Manifestation is just creation. And we are the creators, and I see this more and more and more. Whether that's, creating a human, whether that's creating, I'm obsessed with business. So creating a business like Chloe, like an incredible business, which you've created, right? Like it gets me so excited. The whole process of creation is like, what is it? Like, the word awe comes to mind. Like it puts me in awe, because it's literally life itself.
I love that.
And Candice, can I just ask you a little bit more about the dream doula piece? So before, you said when you first got started, it was more into the physical touch and the massage and body work and a few other bits and pieces. So what are you doing now? How would you? So you said you're a dream doula. What kinds of work are you doing with clients? You sort of mentioned a bit about vision holding.
Yeah. So dream doula, I think I work a lot with entrepreneurs. That combines both my passions, but I also, I've got a dear client at the moment I've been working with for a year, and have supported her from really toxic relationships with drugs and alcohol. And she's now, coming up to a year sober, and doing wonderful things. So that's a vision too, right? That's a dream that she had. I have clients who, I've got a really amazing, successful entrepreneurial client. She regularly has $100,000 months and just keeps pushing herself and supporting others. And I've had a client recently, she came to me with $100 in her bank account. And now it's about 6 months ago, she's got over $100,000 in her bank account and purchased her dream property. So it's like these things that it's that wild success, right? The only reason, I always say this, the only reason none of us or all of us aren't living in the mansion on the beachfront is because we don't even let ourselves think that's possible, right? Like, it's not external circumstances. It's literally because we haven't said, oh yeah, I can do that. That's available to me. We come in and we doubt it. That's not for me. People like me, I have to work so hard. We've all got a story. So I think I saw that working physically too with people. I remember when I first started teaching yoga, and what was I like? I don't even know, maybe I was 20 or something. And I had a good friend coming to my classes, and she had a really toxic relationship, and she could never in downward dog. Like, her legs would just be jammed and her hips would just be jammed. She broke up with him, and the next week her legs were like open, and I was just like,
doing the splits.
Exactly, basically. And I remember that was like this first kind of like, what's going on here? Like, it's so much more than just you've got tight hamstrings. Like, why have you got tight hamstrings? And I don't know if you guys have heard this fascinated me too, but like, when we are under anesthetic, we can bend our bodies in any way. Like, does that not blow your mind? So once the mind is out of it, we have no stiffness.
Well, Chloe met her mum when she was under general anesthetic, didn't you?
Yeah.
What do you mean you met your mum? What do you mean you met your mum?
I was on my trip, my psychedelic trip, and then she was under anesthetic, and we met in, I don't know, in the ether. I don't know where we met.
I heard that. Oh my God. Does your mum remember this? Does your mum?
Nah. Yes. So
wow.
Out of this world, hey? Yeah, wow. I didn't know about lifting your leg up, and that's
so you can do anything. And I remember meeting, like, I'd read that, and then I remember meeting an anaesthetist came to my yoga class one day, and I just like asked him, and he was like, yeah, it's true. And I was like, oh my God. So that's the mind, right? The mind and body are so connected. So then, me being the 1-3, I have to go deeper and deeper. So then I started to work on more emotions. We store emotions in our body. Our issues are in our tissues. And so then I started to work on different forms of body work that would help people to release those emotions because they get stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big believer that all disease in the body comes from stuck energy, stuck emotions. Like the more I work with people, I've seen it so many times. And I feel like that's a really empowering thing because I also believe that everyone can heal. Like I really do believe that if they're willing to go deep and release the old stories and the old stuff that's stuck, I 100% hold the belief that anyone can create anything in their physical body, in the external world. So yeah, then going deeper and deeper, I think I've just moved into the body. So now I work with people in the subconscious mind
when you said before, sorry, I think this is like diving into what you're about to talk about, but something that I've just written down is like getting out of your own way. Can you explain that to our listeners in a little bit more depth? Because I think this is something that I've really worked on, and I think it's great if our listeners could understand that a little bit more. So what do you mean by when you say getting out of your own way?
It's more we are the only one that put limits on ourselves. We think it's circumstances and others, but it's all us. So if we get out of our own way, which is like, get your old stories, get your limits. How many of us have said, I want this, followed by the word but, and a million stories. That's what I mean by if you just say, I want this, full stop, right? Like if every woman started to do that, if every human on the planet, I want this, full stop, get rid of the buts.
Well, the but deletes the first bit.
100%, right? So it never happens. And then people are like, oh, my life. And it's like, no, like you are the creator. So getting out of our own way also from like a deeper spiritual kind of perspective, who we are, every single human on the planet at our deepest core is like light, love, infinite. Like light, love, and infinite being. Like literally that, like and again, working with so many clients, I have a technique that I love called timeline therapy with the neuroenergetic encoding. And we go back, and I have taken people back generations and generations. And not once have I ever met someone where and we're talking to their subconscious, but I really feel like we're talking to your inner being. Like science would say it's your subconscious, but I really feel like it's your deep soul we're talking to. Not once have I ever taken anyone back and that soul's gone, oh yeah, you're the only one, that's not worthy. Oh, sorry, you're the only one that's like exempt from this rule. Every time I take someone back, it's like, you are love, you are loved, you are infinite, you can have anything you desire, you are worthy, you are like, it's never. So anytime you're in your way, it's really, it might be very big for people to comprehend, but it's almost an untruth. It's an illusion because who you really are is infinite, loving, wise. So anything other than that is false, and you're just getting in your own way. And how we get in our own way, I'm a Gemini, so I'm a storyteller. We get in our way by the stories we tell ourselves, and a belief is just the story we keep telling ourselves. So we can change those stories, and you will change your life. I have witnessed it time and time again.
And Candice, what are some of those stories? Just some examples for our listeners, ones that you hear most commonly. I know you mentioned about the worthiness before.
Yeah. So I'm not enough is like a huge one, right? Like we might not say that to ourselves, like in those words, I'm not enough. But what would that look like? That would look like worrying about what people think, comparison, judging others. Comparison, huge. Judging others, because if we judge others, we 10 times worse judge ourselves. So unworthiness is a huge one. And, I love to teach money as well, because I've come from a place I've been so spiritual, and so I hated money. And I fully held money away from myself because of all the stories I had around money, right? Like, and we all have stories around money. It's one of the most loaded subjects on the planet. So when you start to unpack your stories around that, it's really interesting. But there's a beautiful, I love this equation. It's like self-worth equals net worth. And I really love that, because as I work with my clients, as my clients become and feel more worthy, what happens there energetically? They feel more confident, they feel more alive. So what does that energy do? It makes your cells become alive. Like you just start vibrating higher. And money, like lots of money is on a higher vibration. So it's like you just start to attract opportunities and money comes in. And so, you know, as you work on your self-worth, money just comes into your world as well, because who you are at your core is worthy. What else? People worry a lot about what other people think. Like that's a big one. Like how many of us have stopped ourselves? Me too, right? I'm not exempt from any of this. Worrying about what other people think. Like I've worked with so many women, and it makes me so sad how many women are not living the lives that they dream to because of what others may think of them. And there's a beautiful Marianne Williamson quote, like, we're not afraid of our darkness, we're afraid of our light, because what happens if I shine bright? And I know you guys have talked about this before, right? What will others think if I shine bright? What will they say if suddenly I'm flying high? Like, you know, like we're all scared of it. But that's one thing I feel like I'm here to do on the planet, is to kind of like liberate women's light and let them fly really high, because when you're flying high, you're showing someone else that they can fly high. And it's just this like beautiful domino effect on the planet. If we're all, I always say too, like that getting their own way, we're all pretending. And it sounds a bit harsh, but it's like if we all just stop pretending that we're like, I don't know, not worthy, that we're not enough, and we can all just like be awesome. Because seriously, every person I've ever worked with is awesome. Not one person isn't absolutely phenomenal and capable of doing whatever they feel called to do.
And Kendra, how much do you think like social media, like your Instagrams and your Facebook and TikTok and all that kind of stuff, do you think that's had an impact on this and people wanting to shine bright, not shine too bright, tell their truth, but not tell the whole truth?
Totally. I think it's always probably been there, right? But it's like just exacerbated because we're constantly bombarded with information and comparison. And I think learning so much about the subconscious mind, we learn, like when I studied it, we are taught that this is a really powerful tool, right? Like we have to use this really wisely. You can control mass population, and we are controlled, like, you know, by marketing. It works on fear. When people are in fear, they will do anything to get out of fear, and they will disempower themselves and put the power in the hands of anyone else, right? This is what happens. So social media, news, even music, right? You got to be really, I think, now I understand so much about the power of subconscious mind. We're also worried about what goes in our mouth, but we really need to be worried about what goes in our ears. Like, what are you consuming on all levels? Which is why you guys creating a podcast like this is really important, because what goes in is what creates our reality. So a lot of my clients, I had a client recently, I've been working with her for 6 months, and she used to start her day listening to the news, like every day, because she's so compassionate. She's like, I felt like I needed to hear everything that was going wrong so I could send love out there. And I was like, what about if you just got exactly right? I was like, what if you just get rid of the news and just send love? Like, she's feeling so much better, so much better.
I don't watch the news because it's all doom and gloom.
It's all doom, and it's for a reason, unfortunately.
Well, I feel like I'm working with people all across the world, so they ask me questions, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? I need to have some cliff
And
notes."
you're in that world a bit, Steph, aren't you? Like all those people probably watch the news, and probably what's going on in the world affects like what's going on in corporate industry, right?
Yeah, but I think also it gives me more perspective. I think it gives you perspective because you have got an insight into what's happening in, not just Australia, but around the world. So you can sort of feel a bit more grateful in some ways, or it just gives you a different view on things. So, yeah, it's interesting.
And perspective is so big, isn't it? I feel like that comes under that storytelling. When you get that broader perspective, it's such a changes everything, how you see things, right? The small things, like you said, don't really matter so much. And like, that thing that you're worried about what that person will say, stopping you doing, zoom out. Like it becomes really irrelevant. Especially,
I was watching Below Deck the other day, and One of Chloe's like, I don't even know what that is. But
I do know what it is.
You do know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've spoken about it enough. Anyway, one of the people said even the smallest shift in perspective can bring about the greatest healing. And I thought, wow, that is.
This is from Below Deck?
That's from Below Deck. Yeah.
Whoa.
These are the things you can
Blown away.
learn. This is why I watch reality TV. No, because he was talking about that. It was the reunion show, so they were all sort of talking about what they'd done that season. Anyway, I think that's pretty profound when he said that. I wrote that down.
Totally. Well
You
done,
remembered
Below
it.
Deck.
I remembered it and I wrote it down. Yeah.
Well, all comes back to just getting out of your own way too, doesn't it? Because it's all that mind, it's all the chatter in our heads that then propel us into disease or, different states of mind that we can get out of if we get out of our own way and change our thoughts.
Totally. And Chloe, you know that about me because I have an open head, like in human design. So I understand the power. So when Chloe, like you've been doing astrology and the human design for me and my company at the moment, for the team, and I'm like, don't tell me too much. Like, don't tell me about my future because I know the power of the mind. And once it's in my mind, I'm like, boom. And I'm like, so you can't, I'm really, protective of what goes in my mind because it is so open. And human design really, again, showed me that, okay, you're not just crazy, Candice. Like I really need to be aware of what comes into my mind because it can go deep. So yeah. So
I'm open too, but I don't seem to hold on.
Both of yours are open too.
Both of mine are open. Yeah. Up into my throat. Yeah. So it's interesting though, isn't it?
Do you have many numbers highlighted in there?
Maybe one or two.
Yeah, so not too many, do you?
No. Yeah, super interesting.
Fascinating.
I think it maybe comes back to like experience though as well, and maybe even past life stuff too, potentially.
Totally. I feel like I was told something in a past life. And actually I have gone back through my techniques on it and I went back to my birth and it was really interesting that it was like in another room, someone was having a baby and something didn't go quite right. And it was almost like I took on that there was something wrong with me, and it was, so there's a few things, but I feel like I could go back a bit more on that. But that was a fascinating, it's all fascinating.
Cando, you do a lot of work with our nervous system. Do you think you can share with our beautiful listeners a little bit about what the nervous system is and how we can work with it?
Yeah, I was thinking about this too, and I was like, I want to bring two kind of viewpoints on the nervous system. So first of all, we have the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, which probably most of us have heard about, right? The parasympathetic is like our rest and digest, and the sympathetic is kind of like that fight and flight. We need both, but I think the majority of us in today's world, we're kind of stuck in that sympathetic, that constantly doing, which causes havoc on the body, really. My clients come to me in quite chronic states of stress, and even in massage, the ability, we just think that when we go to sleep, we relax, right? But it's not true. I have people in the massage table and, just they find it really hard. I do this technique where we just shake the arm and try and let it go. People can't let it go. It actually takes practice. Rest takes practice. So to get into the parasympathetic nervous system, it takes practice. But it's
that's where we want to be, because I know you said, Candice, most people have probably heard about it. I have never heard about it until you taught me about it.
Yeah,
I had no clue.
Yeah. So the parasympathetic, we want to be there more. But there are these beautiful techniques like breathwork, which you've talked about, and cold water therapy, which are coming out at the moment, which put the body into the sympathetic nervous system, but in kind of a controlled environment, which I found really powerful. Cold water for me, because I have suffered from anxiety in the past. It's amazing because you get into like a state where kind of your body kind of reacts and responds in a sympathetic, it goes into the sympathetic, but you kind of don't go with it. You kind of breathe and stay with it. And then you come out and you come down. So it allows you then, when stress kind of comes in your life, you don't react to it because you've been training your body to just breathe throughout it. So I feel like cold water therapy, it's so big at the moment, but if anyone hasn't tried it, give that a go, especially if you suffer from anxiety. I just found that for my mind, amazing. But yeah, we want to be in our parasympathetic, and you know, like every disease, and I always love to say disease, dis-ease. It's simply dis-ease in the body. Results basically from stress, right? Like really it does. There's stress in the body, constant stress in the body. And the body just starts to kind of wig out in different ways, whatever that looks like, whatever, like skin eruptions or sore lower backs or chesty stuff, those types of things. It all results generally from being in that overwhelmed, overdoing state. And what I have witnessed and studied and then experimented and worked with my clients is when we get into the parasympathetic nervous system, the human body is miraculous too, by the way. Like it is absolutely miraculous. Again, get out of the way of it and let it do its thing. It heals. It heals. There's a thing called homeostasis. Your body is consistently trying to return to homeostasis. We just need to get out of the way. So a constant and bringing in a consistent kind of rest practice to prioritize getting, like, you know, everyone thinks that relaxation is just this fluffy thing, but it's actually medicine. And I work with my clients what I call to create a medicinal life. Like imagine if your entire life was medicinal and supportive to you thriving, whereas most of us, it's like we might pop some vitamins in the morning and then we live this intense life and we expect those vitamins to kind of do the job. But it's like, can you create your entire life to be medicinal? And rest is a really important part of that. The ability to respond to stress instead of react to stress, the ability to be able to unclench your jaw and quiet your mind. This all takes a lot of practice. But yeah, the body will naturally heal. That's it. So I guess going back to that question before, Chloe, like getting out of your own way, yes, the mind, but also getting into the parasympathetic nervous system is a way to kind of get out of the way and let your body just heal. I have women come to me all the time and they're exhausted and they've never thought to rest, right? Like they're like, it's almost like, it does make me laugh because they're like, I've gone to the doctors, I'm going to get blood tests. And I'm like, have you tried resting? And they're like, it's like this like
we're taught that it's like lazy.
I think this happened to me.
Yeah, I've probably said that to you many times.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so again, that's those stories and that's that perception and that's that worrying. What will that person think if I'm laying on the couch at, 12 o'clock on a Tuesday?
Chloe often comes over and I'm like, okay.
Yes. Yeah. So you understand the power of rest.
Well, yeah, it's important. It's just,
it's so important. And I think you mentioned that, Steph. I used to put you in, that was my prime thing, put you in that state so your body and your mind can do its thing.
Yeah. Well, pre losing Arthur, I was always go, 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 go. I would live my life with no space in between anything. And I was in this heightened state of like manic. And I had to surrender. I had to just let everything fall away because I had no space for anything. So that really taught me the importance of just being sometimes, and just that you don't have to run the rat race, you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that, you can just,
you don't have to do all the time.
No, you don't have to do exactly.
Yeah, which is really, you're not alone there. I would say 95% of my clients come to me in that doing state, and it's exhausting.
Got to be productive. And these are the stories. Yeah,
I think,
stories.
Cando, you gave me permission to not do. Yeah, so
Awesome.
coming into your world and working with you allowed me to, as you used the word as well, Steph, surrender to the rest.
Yes.
And I think by us talking about it more it gives other women in particular permission to rest.
100%. It's that permission piece, and it's that being the light, right? Like I'm really on my socials, haven't been so active lately because I've got a lot going on, but I really show myself resting a lot, and that's really a conscious thing because people don't, and people think it's abnormal, and people think all these things, but I want it to be normal. I want people to see that success can come with rest, and that really, like, what is success too? Like, is success like burning yourself to the ground in order to achieve some goal that then you show everyone, or is success like I think everyone needs to dive deep into what is their success look like. And, you know, because you might realize, whoa, like you just said, the rat race, right? Once you're in the rat race, you don't even know you're in it until you step out of it. And you're like, wait, what? There's a whole world that's not in the rat race. It's bizarre. So it's like, what is your idea of success? I think that's a real thing that your listeners could probably ask themselves. I sit with my clients and unpack success a lot, because it could be looking like where you're going, or you might be like, holy shit, no, this is not what I wanted. I just wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and like somehow got caught up in this, or whatever it looks like. But I think rest needs to be a really important part. And I think we should really, like, you know, it just seems like this really like fluffy thing, but it's actually like one of the best medicines for your physical and mental health. Because you get in the parasympathetic nervous system, which then your body is healing. You're in a healing state. You could be drinking all the green smoothies you want. You could be popping all the vitamins you want. You could be having all the saunas you want. But if you're just constantly going, stressing, like it's not going to do anything. You need to stop, get out of your own way, breathe. Like we've all probably heard this before too. Like we are a human being, not a human doing. And so it's like coming back to being present. So yeah, from a physical perspective, for me personally, and what I've witnessed, getting into the parasympathetic nervous system would be one of my number one remedies that I would prescribe like to my clients to heal and come back into homeostasis and balance. And thinking about things that would be meditation, like meditation is huge.
Kendall, you put me onto the Insight Timer.
Yes,
app.
free app.
So free app, you can, I just did it the other day by time. I had like 5 minutes between calls, and I'm like, I'm tweaking out here. I need just to calm down. Yeah. And it was so good.
Yeah. And so get the free timer app. Yeah. Anyone listening, get the free Insight Timer app and look up in there Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra is one of the most powerful meditations. You do it lying down, and Yoga Nidra literally means yogic sleep. So we literally put the body and almost the brain to sleep while we're awake. And so you were in like the deepest brain waves. You're also in the deepest like parasympathetic nervous system. It is phenomenal. So anyone that is like really stressed, and it's really good because it focuses the mind. So it guides you to focus on different parts of the body. But that if anyone's, you know, in this, you know, it is amazing, Yoga Nidra. And yeah, so I would start there. And notice too, you will have if you've been constantly doing, you will have resistance to rest. Like you will have resistance.
How would you support someone to overcome that resistance?
So I would, if they were really struggling and then they came to me, I would use a few different techniques. We would dive into rest, and their stories around rest. So I would use some of my techniques to go back, like maybe their mum never rested, or, you know, it could be anything. Like I've taken people back generations where like they were, you know, I don't know if this was even you, Chloe, but like in war kind of times. And if the women, like, you know, the men were off to war and they were protecting the children. And so if they rested, like their kids were going to get killed. Like there's all these different, it can come from anywhere. And it's amazing. Science is like proving now that I think it's either, don't quote me on the number, it's between 4 and 7 generations we hold in our DNA. So I've seen taking back people to these just really intense moments in time, and it like gets caught in that person's body, and then that gets passed kind of through the DNA. So I would take someone back and look. EFT is amazing because you can gently like tap through the body and release the physical kind of feeling of resistance. And just like, I just love a question too, right? Like I don't know if you know, like the word even question, or the word question, it's quest. So a question is like going on a quest internally. We're so used to Googling all our questions, right? What does Joe think about this? And what does Google think about this? And what's the latest trend? But it's like, the real questions that will change your life are the ones you ask yourself. And it can be hard, right? I often want to jump on Google and find someone else's opinion, but it's that quest going within. Like, so asking, like, you know, if someone's listening, pause it. What does rest mean to me? Like, or if you're not resting, why? Why am I not resting? And just listen to the stories, like listen to what comes up. And then you can ask yourself just is that truth? Is that my truth? Like, is it truth? And just start there. Like, we think it's this big grand thing, but it's really simple. Start asking yourself some questions about rest, about worthiness of rest. Lots of people attach their worthiness to doing. I unpack that a lot with people. Like, who am I if I'm not constantly achieving? You know, it's what my worthiness is attached to what I do, and you know, so there's a lot of that involved. So that's a lot of the physical of the nervous system, but also something I love and I've been witnessing lately is when it comes to manifestation and like creation of our desires and our dreams. So the way we create is by the frequency we hold in our body. And the way we create the frequency in our body is by the thoughts and the stories we say in our mind. That kind of, we have beliefs and we have stories, and our body kind of mirrors that, right? With an emotion, which is energy in motion, and emotion is energy in motion, and we hold it in our body. So if I was to even ask you guys here, and I get the same response from everyone, if you knew that everything was going to be okay, all your goals, dreams, desires were done, like inevitable, let's just ask you guys, what would be either the first thing you would do or the feeling that you would feel in your body?
I'd feel peace in my body.
Exactly. Steph?
I would just feel like, I think, intense excitement.
Yes, you're a man, Jen, and the manifester. Yeah. And so both of those, Steph's is a little bit different, but we'll talk about that in a sec. It's a form of relaxation and relief. Like, would that be in there too? Like, it's done. Yeah. It's done. Like, if I was, you know, you don't actually have to do anything. Everything's taken care of.
Yeah.
And excitement, because it's so good, right? Like, it's so exciting. So
it's like untense, like just So
that most people would say something like that: relaxed, I'd feel peace. So the way we attract and create things through the law of attraction, through kind of, you know, this kind of quantum physics stuff we're in now, is we attract by the frequency we hold in our body. So the power of being in your parasympathetic nervous system is also telling the universe, I trust. You know, so many people come to me, they're like, how do I surrender and how do I trust? You relax. That's literally how you do it. So it is a key that skyrockets you to your dreams and desires. I get all my entrepreneurial clients to embody rest as much as possible, because it is a symbol to the universe that you trust everything is taken care of. And then you attract, you know, everything that's on that same vibration, which is your dream, because it's on that vibration. I hope that makes sense. I can go so deep. Sorry, guys.
I'm just having a damn bath this afternoon, girls. That's all I can say. Giving permission for everyone else to do that too.
And you could wake up with like $1 million in your bank account. You never know. Seriously, it is that powerful. It is so powerful.
Amazing. I've just got one more question, Candice, and this is sort of a little bit emo, but bear with me. So what if the stories you telling yourself are true? So what if something has happened to you? Like, I know one of the stories I have is, and I was talking about this, Chloe, I don't know if it was on the pod or just in person, about like, I almost fear group situations because I'm worried. Like, they used to be danger because people would say things that were really upsetting, or, you know, obviously didn't mean to, but so for me, danger, people equals danger. And I'm trying to work on that, but that was a truth. Like, that was a correct story for me.
But let's say and this might be, was it a danger? Were you physically in danger?
Well, no.
Was it a tiger?
It was, to me, it was a matter of life or death. Like that's how it felt.
It felt like life or death, right?
Yeah, it felt like life or death. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
No, great. Yeah. I think people understand it better now, though, Steph, now that you've asked that too.
Yeah. Yeah, because bad shit happens, and yeah, bad things happen to good people, and there's not always a reason or rhyme. And so
100%.
sometimes it's really hard to then play back that story and think about it in a different light. Because back then, it does sometimes take me back to that state, and I just have to go, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your body right at that time was in fight and flight 24/7.
Yeah.
So you were taking fight and flight into every situation as well.
Yeah.
So every situation felt dangerous for you, right? The world was dangerous. Like the
was
worst thing had
dangerous.
ever happened. So you were in a
everything was
state of complete and utter terror, really, right?
Yeah.
So you were just, everything was dangerous. Everything was dangerous.
Yeah, I might need to book in a session with you, Candice.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love that. And I think that's that broader perspective, right? Like I went back for myself, like I always had a lot of fear in me. Like I know everyone has a lot of fear, but that was kind of like it was just always underlying in me. And I can look back and I can see it kind of through certain parts of my family dynamics, but I was very blessed that I never let it stop me and I could move through it. But it's, it's so uncomfortable. It's such an uncomfortable emotion to hold in the body. And I went back and, one of my fellow students took me back when I was training, and I went back and I was dropped into this like crazy wartime. And I was I was in a battle, and it was like terrifying. Like I knew I was about to die, and everyone around me I loved was dying. Like it was really horrible. But what I learned from that, because what you do is it's that perspective thing, right? You pull out wider perspective and you look at it from a broader perspective. And what I learned from that about fear, which has really helped me, and it might help anyone listening that struggles with fear, these two words came into my mind. It was like there's necessary fear and there's unnecessary fear. So in that moment, that fear was necessary in a sense. It got my blood pumping, to fight and to battle. And my life was actually in danger, right? Like in that past life or whatever it is, even if it's just a vision in my subconscious, a symbol to help me understand fear. But then I was carrying that kind of fear in my everyday life, like you just said, but was I physically in danger? No. Was anything going on? No. Like, so I kind of have that now. Is this a necessary fear or is this an unnecessary fear? And I would say the majority of us are in a necessary fear not many times in our life. Some of us may be blessed never, really, right? Like, and I think, Steph, you have been in a necessary fear. Like, it was completely justifiable. Like, to have that response for what you've moved through. But someone who's, then you going into that social situation, like now, even today, right?
Well, yes,
like
I avoid. I try. Yeah. Even if they're situations of my creation, then I go, yeah, okay. I actually was deliberately avoiding everyone because it was.
Are you afraid of?
I'm afraid of connection. I'm afraid of connection because that can equal pain if it doesn't go well. And I feel like I've still got, thinking just as you're talking, there's so much I have worked through, especially in that pregnancy. Like I had to keep telling myself, this is a different pregnancy, this is a different baby, this is a different placenta, this is a different that, like, because they didn't know what the reason was with Arthur and everything was fine. It's like in my brain the whole time was telling me, alert, alert, danger, danger,
totally.
Your baby could die, you better do something. But so it was I had to constantly pull myself back from that and go, no, right now, like we're here, we are okay, we are safe, the baby's here, and that was, most hours of every day of months and months.
It's like a full-time job.
It was.
100%.
And I finished work early because I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I have to be present in my body this whole time to make sure that nothing happens, even though I couldn't have,
But it's more for your own sanity, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like it's like, and you and Hugh, I think, did so well. Like you just had this whole support network, right? Which I think is so powerful. We're just humans, and we do need like
Absolutely.
accountability partners, support people. Like need a whole team around you, especially what you moved through. Like you need a team, and I think that not everyone gives themselves that team, but you, I think that was really amazing of you that you created that team around you to support you and Hugh to move through that journey, which, we can only imagine as mothers. I always say, people say you can't imagine, but I feel like I can imagine it for a second and my mind won't let me go beyond that, right? Because it's too painful. So it's like exactly right. So it's like, you created this beautiful cocoon to hold you, to feel the human emotions, and you were able to, like it was totally that word necessary, normal for you to move through that. And so you're still on that journey, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, I'm still pretty fucked up. Like, and this will be a lifelong.
But you're not fucked up, right? I think that's a story too.
Yeah,
you're not fucked
that's a story
up.
I tell myself all the time.
Yeah, you're not at all. Let's reframe that even here and now, right? You've felt the depths of you've felt the depths of human emotion and despair and grief and loss. Like you're not fucked up. You're like, the fact that you're still here breathing is magical. Like this is the human, the amazingness of humanness, right? Like you are the epitome of that. Like you have walked into the depths of hell. I was like, I knew the tears would come soon. But, and then you've and you continue to walk there sometimes, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's a
There's nothing fucked up about that.
No, thank you. Just as we wrap this up, so top tips. I know we talked about a lot of stuff in the episode, but if you had a few, takeaway things that our listeners can embed in their life right now, what would that be? Rest.
Remember, it symbolizes so many things to the universe and to your body. Another thing, the thing that people come to me to is like, we know some of these things, but how do we put it into action? Like, so surrender and trust is like really big. How? Rest. Third one, another beautiful thing that I've discovered is celebration, the power of celebration. Celebration is the physical act of gratitude. So I invite, everyone listening, take these two things, bring rest into your life and bring celebration into your life. That symbolizes a lot to the universe. Celebrate those little moments. Celebrate your birthday. Celebrate, it's a like if you're feeling grateful, celebrate. It's the physical action of gratitude, and that's changed my life and my clients' lives a lot. So do those two things. Find something to celebrate this week.
I'm celebrating you, Canto. I'm celebrating you and this podcast today. Yay. And you and your sharing.
Oh, thanks. Beautiful. Me too.
Thank you, Candice. Thank you for your time. We so appreciate you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
We'd love you to walk us through our little meditation when you feel.
Awesome. Maybe we'll just do a little medi. This is what I guide my clients to at the moment. Just a short one, just to feel connected and safe and held. So you guys, unless you're driving a car, close your eyes down.
If you're driving a car, pull over.
And just feel into whatever you're sitting in, or sitting on, or laying on. And with your exhale, just really let yourself settle into it. Relax the shoulders. Soften the belly. Unhinge the jaw. And just let your body just take some time of rest here as it just lets go. And even with that exhalation, maybe feeling the energy of the body moving even deeper down, like roots moving down into the earth, feeling grounded, feeling held, feeling supported. And then with your inhalation, feeling a beautiful pillar of light moving up through the body, through the heart, through the mind, moving up, 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 and connecting to infinite love, source, and wisdom. So you're being held and supported between the earth and between infinite love above. And just notice how that feels to the body and the mind to know that this support, this connection always exists. And if you feel called, just placing your hands over your heart space and just bowing your head to your hands. So symbolizing the surrender of your mind to your heart, holding the intention to move from your heart space, allowing your actions and your life to flow from love. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back from that space.
That's beautiful.
Thank you, Candice.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, girls.
Thank you so much for your time and for your wisdom. And
I was going to say wisdom. So much wisdom.
There's a lot. I have a ginormous forehead for a reason, I think.
Face mapping? Would that be a thing?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Yeah, because forehead's vision.
Ah, there you go.
There
I've got
you
a lot of people's visions in there.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
love that.
Welcome.
And Candy, where can people find you?
Even just on the social, I'm not super active at the moment, but I still am there. So my Instagram, I hang out a bit, and I've got a beautiful Facebook community too. If anyone, I've got heaps of free trainings in there. Like I drop them in all the time. Anyone that, wants to go a bit deeper, I call it Barefoot Wild and Wealthy, the inner journey to.
So people can just search that.
Yeah.
We'll
Barefoot
link
Wild.
it.
Yeah, put it below and they can just jump in. There's so much free stuff in there, and it's a beautiful community of women, unafraid or moving through the fear to create those lives that we desire.
Thank you all so much for listening. We really do appreciate your support. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Give us a rating and a review. And if you like this show, please share it with a friend and tell them to have a listen. Just send them the link to that Spotify or Apple or wherever you get your podcast. You can also connect with us on Instagram at the.selfishpodcast. You can always slide into our DMs as well and let us know if you have got a different type of treatment that you would like us to explore, or if you've got any specific questions. Anyway, thank you again, and we'll see you next week. Bye.